Have you ever woken up only to realize you're still dreaming, and then you wake up again and again, each time thinking this one must be real? But how can you be sure? What if you're still asleep right now? What if you never actually woke up? There are people, ordinary people, who've lived entire lives inside their dreams. They met strangers who felt like soulmates. They watched themselves grow older, and when they finally woke up, it all vanished. A whole existence gone in an instant. We think of waking up as absolute, binary. You're either dreaming or you're not. But what if that's a lie your brain tells you? What if the line between dreams and reality is much thinner and more fragile than we believe? Let's begin with something strange. In 2005, a young man in Canada reported a recurring experience. He would wake up in his room, check his phone, stretch, walk toward the door, only to suddenly realize something felt off. The doorknob wasn't cold. His feet didn't make sound on the floor. Time wasn't passing normally. Then he'd wake up again, still in his bed. Only now the window was facing the wrong direction. He would wake up like this 5, 6, 7 times in a row. A loop, a dream, within a dream, within a dream, until one day he couldn't tell if he had ever truly woken up at all. This phenomenon, sometimes called false awakening or nested dreaming, isn't rare, and it's far more unsettling than nightmares, because nightmares frighten you, but dreams like these unravel your reality. To understand why this happens, we need to talk about something that sounds like science fiction, but is very real. Lucid dreaming. It's the ability to become aware that you're dreaming while still inside the dream. Some people train themselves to do this. Others fall into it accidentally during moments of intense emotional stress or sleep disruption. The first time it happens, it feels like magic. You realize the world around you isn't real, but instead of waking up, you stay. You walk through walls, you fly, you shape the dream like clay. For a moment, you are God of your own universe. But then comes the fear. What if you can't wake up? What if your body has fallen into rematonia, the natural paralysis of sleep, but your mind is too alert? You scream in the dream, but no sound comes out. You try to move, but your limbs are frozen. You feel a presence watching you. This is called sleep paralysis, a terrifying state where your consciousness wakes before your body does. Some people see dark shadows. Others feel pressure on their chest, like something sitting on them. Some even hear whispering, voices in languages they don't understand. Science tells us this is the brain misfiring during REM sleep, but it doesn't make it feel any less real, because in that moment, reality is what you feel. Now imagine this. You are in a lucid dream. You become aware that you're dreaming. You try to wake up, but you can't. You wake up, only to find yourself in another dream, again and again and again, until the idea of waking up starts to feel like another layer of the dream. There are documented cases of people trapped in dream loops for what felt like years. One man reported living through an entire career in his dreams. He met a woman, they fell in love, got married, bought a house, had children. When he finally woke up, his body had only been asleep for 30 minutes. The grief he felt, losing that life, that family, that world, was unbearable. He went into a deep depression because reality no longer felt more real than the dream. Psychologists call this phenomenon discontinuity of self. It's when your conscious identity becomes detached from linear time and memory. You exist, but you don't know where or when or why. Some philosophers argue that dreams are not illusions, but alternate cognitive environments, that the mind, free from sensory input, constructs simulations just as rich and meaningful as waking life. So the question becomes, if everything you feel, see, and remember can be duplicated in a dream, what makes reality real? Here's something chilling. In 1999, a university student began experimenting with lucid dream techniques. He kept a dream journal, set alarms during REM sleep, practiced reality checks like reading a book and seeing if the text changes. One night, he became lucid inside a dream and tried to wake up, but nothing worked. He tried to blink rapidly, to scream, to jump from a height. Instead, he kept landing in new dream environments. He began to suspect he had fallen into a coma. In his own words, open quote, "I thought maybe I died. Maybe this was purgatory. There were no clocks, no mirrors, no time, only awareness and dread." Close quote. He finally woke up, soaked in sweat, crying uncontrollably. It had been 40 minutes. But here's the twist. Since that night, he claims he's never been able to fully trust reality again. He performs reality checks multiple times a day. He often questions whether he's awake, even during conversations. He developed derealization disorder. His world is clear, but it no longer feels solid. So let me ask you, how do you know this is real? Can you say with absolute certainty that you're awake? What if this is just another dream? What if everything, this voice, this video, this moment, is happening in your own mind? And the real world is somewhere far away, waiting, waiting for you to open your eyes. You close your eyes and the world disappears. But something remarkable happens. Your brain, instead of shutting down, switches modes. It begins constructing an entire reality from scratch. A city you've never seen, people you've never met, a story you didn't write, yet somehow believe. It happens every night, and yet we call it sleep. Inside your skull, the neurons fire in strange synchronized patterns. Your visual cortex, normally fed by your eyes, begins to generate images internally. Your motor cortex sends signals to move, but your body is paralyzed. You are inside a simulation, one you didn't consciously design, and yet it feels as real as waking life. Why does this happen? Scientists still don't fully know. Some believe it's your brain sorting memories. Others say it's emotional processing, your subconscious performing nightly therapy. But there's a darker theory, that dreams are a byproduct of consciousness itself, that any mind capable of imagination inevitably dreams, even when it doesn't want to. And sometimes something goes wrong. A person may enter REM sleep, the stage where dreams are most vivid, but wake up mentally while their body remains frozen. They become trapped. This is sleep paralysis, and for those who experience it, it can feel like death. You lie in bed, fully aware, but unable to move. Your chest is tight. You're breathing shallow. You see something, a shape, a shadow at the foot of your bed. It moves. It watches. Sometimes it speaks. Cultures across the world have tried to explain this. In Japan, it's the kanashibari, a vengeful spirit sitting on your chest. In Newfoundland, it's the old hag. In Islamic folklore, it's a jinn, invisible but powerful. And in the West, we just call it a sleep demon. Science says it's hallucination, but when it's happening, it feels real. Because the emotional part of your brain, the amygdala, is fully active. You feel terror, you feel presence, you feel watched. And the worst part, you can't wake up. Now imagine this. You're aware you're dreaming, but you've lost the ability to control it. You're neither fully awake nor truly asleep. Your world feels made of fog and mirrors. That's when people begin to dissociate. They question whether their memories are real, whether their relationships are genuine, whether their entire life is just a dream that lasted too long. There are documented cases of patients developing chronic derealization after repeated false awakenings. They stop trusting mirrors. They check clocks over and over again. They touch surfaces just to feel the texture, to prove they're not in a simulation. But here's where it gets even more unsettling. In rare instances, people wake up from a dream into another life. One man reported falling asleep in New York and waking up in a house he didn't recognize. He had a wife, children, a different job. He lived there for 6 months. He remembered his past, but it was hazy, like someone else's dream. Then one morning he woke up again, back in New York, and everything was gone. How does the brain create something so elaborate? How can it construct not just people and places, but histories, emotions, memories? Some neuroscientists believe that dreams are models, cognitive simulations your brain builds to run tests. What if I say this? What if I lose someone? What if I die? These simulations allow you to experience grief, joy, fear, without consequence. But when the model becomes too real, it can override your sense of waking. That's when the borders blur. And if you blur the border long enough, you forget which side you're on. Now imagine this from a philosophical lens. What if your entire life is a dream? Not in the metaphorical sense. Literally. You're lying in a bed somewhere, in a hospital, a pod, another plane of existence. And this is the dream. Everything you remember, your childhood, your parents, your name, is part of the construct. Would you want to wake up, or would you rather stay? It's a question that haunted philosophers long before neuroscience existed. Plato's allegory of the cave, Descartes' evil demon thought experiment, the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, who dreamt he was a butterfly, then wondered if he was really a butterfly, dreaming he was a man. Even today, simulation theory suggests that our universe itself may be a highly advanced illusion. Which brings us back to you watching this. How can you be certain that this moment right now is real? And if you're wrong, will you ever wake up? You wake up, your heart's racing, your breathing shallow, but something still feels wrong. You sit up, the room looks familiar, the walls, the window, the clock, but not right. There's a delay. The ticking is offbeat. Your reflection blinks a second too late. You begin to panic because you've been here before, woken up inside another layer and another and another, and now you don't know if you've actually escaped. There's a term for this. Some psychologists refer to it as dream entrapment. But online, among those who've lived through it, there's another name, the forever dream, a condition where someone feels they are permanently stuck in dreams, waking up into them, living them, doubting every return to reality. It's rare, but real. There have been recorded cases where patients, perfectly healthy by all scans, report months, even years spent inside dream loops. One man kept a daily log, not of waking life, but of dream resets. He would wake up, try to live a day, then reset again. He stopped counting after 500. What happens to a mind that no longer trusts waking? What happens when you believe you're awake, but a small part of you whispers, "This isn't real, you're still dreaming"? Neuroscientists suggest that this confusion may come from an overactive fault mode network, a part of the brain responsible for imagination, memory, and introspection. It kicks in when you're daydreaming. It also dominates during REM sleep. So if the switch between sleep and wake malfunctions, you end up somewhere between, not dreaming, not awake, just floating. And in that space, reality bends, time breaks, and the self begins to dissolve. For some, it's terrifying, but for others, it's beautiful. A lucid dreamer once described it as open quote, standing on the edge of God's canvas, close quote. They didn't want to leave. Why would they? In dreams, there is no heartbreak, no clocks, no death, just endless possibility. But that's the trap, isn't it? A world that gives you everything but takes your anchor to reality. If you can't tell the difference between real and imagined, if your emotions, your memories, your thoughts all feel the same, then what does it mean to be awake? And if someone were to walk up to you right now and say, open quote, "This is still a dream. None of this is real. Wake up," would you believe them? Close quote. Would you even want to? We like to think we're in control, that consciousness is a light switch, on, off, awake, asleep. But the truth, it's a dimmer, and sometimes it flickers. So maybe ask yourself right now, as you watch this, have you ever felt like this life, this world, these people don't quite fit? Have you ever had the sense that something is off, but you couldn't explain why? A glitch in the streetlight, a word that echoes, a moment that loops. What if those were not accidents? What if they're signals? Signals that you haven't truly woken up yet. This is the edge of what we know, a border between biology and mystery, between sleep and consciousness, between real and almost. And the truth is, none of us know where the dream ends. If this journey through the mind made you think, if it stirred something in you, we invite you to stay with us. This is 777 File, where we uncover the mysteries of science, the mind, and the human experience, one story at a time. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Leave a like to support our work, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a dream inside a dream? A moment you weren't sure was real? Let us know, and until next time, stay curious.